Hi everyone, I'm Sophie Milburn, editor of the MSB Channel Insights, and today I am joined by Lee from RH-ISAC. So could you start by telling us a little bit about yourself, your background, and the company itself?
Sure. I'm Lee Clark. I'm the production manager for cyber threat intelligence at the Retail and Hospitality Information Sharing and Analysis Center. I got into cyber maybe 12 years ago, mostly by accident, as a night shift analyst at Booz Allen on their commercial CTI team. After that, I ended up moving to the Middle East for several years, where I did cyber intelligence work for the United States Air Force, a couple of international banks, organizations like that. And then I ended up moving to the RH-ISAC about 4 years ago, where I began as an intel writer and then eventually moved my way up to being the production manager for the team, which is kind of like an editor-in-chief for the cyber intelligence reporting that we do. The ISAC is one of about a 2 dozen ISACs. Each one's pointed at a different industry. Ours is specifically retail hospitality is a little bit of a misnomer. We're the ISAC for any consumer-facing industry. So we also have restaurants, airlines, anybody who does loyalty program stuff, in addition to online travel agencies, hotels, traditional retailers, right? There are a number of
Right.
organizations. We have maybe 350 total members. We operate a bunch of platforms for them to have discussions, share intelligence between each other, and then help intelligence collaboration across different industries. So that's sort of a background for me and the ISAC.
Fantastic. That was a great start. And you'll be attending the Info Security Europe next month. So what can people kind of expect when they see you there?
Sure. So we have a pretty extensive network among a few different industries, and my idea was to put together a panel to talk about intelligence sharing, specifically in Europe and in the UK with different regulatory concerns, and how different organizations are dealing with intelligence
Mhm.
dissemination. One of the biggest problems a lot of CTI teams have is intelligence being siloed. And intelligence by its nature is confidential and sensitive, but if you don't share it anywhere, then it does no good if it's sitting in a vacuum. So we put together a panel with people who are all excellent industry experts in a couple of different fields. I think we've got a legal firm represented. We've got a fast food restaurant represented, one of the world's major hotels based in London, and then regular retail being represented. Right now, I'll run a sort of roundtable discussion about the ease that or the difficulty with which they share intelligence.
Well, I feel like that'd be like a really hard balance to find between sharing things and
It is.
what to keep to yourself. So yeah, that's really interesting. How have you kind of seen the role of threat intelligence evolve in recent years, and what are organizations maybe still getting wrong?
Sure. So I don't know entirely about getting wrong. The trend that I see in organizations as they are maturing, redesigning their programs is by the time you adjust to current technological landscapes, current threat landscapes, they change, right?
Yeah.
In a reactive role. So we
Mhm.
see a lot of organizations working on maturing from reactive intelligence, from data collection and data monitoring, to trying to focus on the actionability piece. The primary goal of intelligence is for it to be actionable. The difference between intelligence and information is just knowledge or facts that you may have. And intelligence is information that can enable somebody to make a decision. And that piece is what
Mhm.
pretty much every organization struggles with, right? Moving from data collection to actionable intelligence and then aligning their intelligence goals, what the intelligence team actually looks for, what they produce with
Mhm.
other teams inside the business, whether it's the risk team, whether it's the fraud team, whether it's the board of directors, right? And then improving the ability to share that information in a way that enables senior level decision makers to do their jobs easier, right? That's sort of the places we see people moving currently, right? And then, um, I'm going to mention AI, right? So everybody can
Well,
take a drink. We have officially mentioned AI for the first time. AI is going to change that in a number of ways as organizations try to figure out places where it can plug in and help.
yeah,
Things like normalizing vast quantities of data for tool sets to be able to share data between, and places where it maybe isn't so good, like writing reports that human beings are going to read, right? A lot of those things are going to be changing as organizations try to keep up.
yeah. I hadn't really thought about that differentiator, I guess, between information and data. That's really interesting. But I guess with your experience across, defense, commercial, and international environments, how do threat actors, kind of differ in their approaches from what you're seeing, and where do you maybe see some convergence there?
Yeah, so it's mostly the same, right?
Mhm.
Tactics, techniques, procedures, TTPs
Yeah.
are largely the same. If we look at the diamond model, right,
Mm.
the place where the difference comes there is in the motivation piece of that
Right.
diamond, right? If you're in defense, if you're in finance, oftentimes the goal is theft of confidential information, right? Finance is going to be payment information or anything that can enable people to access funds.
Mhm.
In the defense industry, it's going to be cyber espionage or sabotage stuff that you look for.
Right.
In our particular industries that we cover now, it runs everything from grocery stores, restaurants, pharmacies, hotels, online travel agencies, airlines. All of them have different business priorities, but all of them are facing essentially the same motivation, and that is theft.
Right.
A monetary motivation. So that comes primarily in a few forms. The first that we see far and away is fraud, cyber fraud, gift card fraud, loyalty points fraud, receipt fraud, return fraud, triangulation fraud. The second one is going to be social engineering in the service of ransomware, right? It's almost always going to be things like people calling your help desk impersonating an IT worker to try and get admin credentials. Enormously effective, specifically because it circumvents however mature your cybersecurity hard controls might be, right? If your controls are really advanced, it still won't stop someone from giving away admin credentials because someone asked them to on the telephone, right?
Yeah.
That's the place where we really see a lot of this being the same. And then the ISAC's role within that is to make sure that these different companies in these different regions, these different industry verticals, are all able to share their insights about these actors, and it boosts collective defense. Even if they compete for consumers' businesses, they're not necessarily competing in cybersecurity because the same threat actors are hitting all of them with the same tactics over time, right?
Right. And you just mentioned a little bit of my next question there, but I feel like we could dig a little bit deeper into that. That information sharing is a core part of this, but how effective is collaboration between organizations today with that? And what do you think maybe needs to happen to make that more effective?
Yeah. Um, RH-ISAC is the only ISAC I've worked for, so I don't know how some of the other ones were. I don't know about maybe Health ISAC or Financial Services ISAC, but at the Retail Hospitality ISAC, our member community recognizes that cyber threats aren't siloed and that sharing intelligence can improve detection and response across the board, as well as create opportunities for collaboration with law enforcement or with
Right.
organizations that might be able to help with takedown of infrastructure, right? We have dedicated instances where an organization is experiencing a ransomware incident. They give us hard intelligence on that ransomware incident. We disseminate that to other companies in their region, other companies in their industry wheelhouse, and those companies get back to us and say, we saw this same activity in our environment, and because of this intelligence, we were able to block it, right? So we've been able to actually interrupt broader ransomware campaigns because of this sharing. So in a lot of cases, it's extremely effective beyond just situational awareness, where everyone knows what's going on with their peer companies, right? We see progress with this becoming more actionable and consistent over time. The most impactful environments are going to be where things aren't occasional, where it's not just crisis sharing, like I just mentioned, but where we have sort of continuous sharing based on grounded operational needs, right? It's the ability to ask questions and get answers from your peers moment to moment. And that's one of the platforms we provide actually allows the cyber professionals at these different companies to collaborate with one another in a chat room for real-time instant messaging. That collaboration can exponentially expand your team's capability. It's an augmentary force to your own cybersecurity capability. Basically, we create a trusted sharing environment where we encourage this, and then we put barriers around it, like NDAs, security controls, TLP level restrictions, stuff like that, so people feel safe in sharing stuff that can be confidential or sensitive.
Yeah, and you mentioned there some things that you think will kind of be coming, but what else do you see happening? I know it's almost impossible to say with everything changing so quickly, and I know we did mention it, AI. Is there
Sure.
anything that you kind of see coming up in the next few years if you were to make those predictions?
Yeah, so again, we mentioned AI. A huge topic of conversation among pretty much every organization, but in our wheelhouse as well has been the stuff around Mythos and Project Glasswing. Essentially, AI augmented or AI native vulnerability disclosures, vulnerability exploitations, and whether or not those have threat actor applications, whether or not they have defender applications, right? So earlier I talked about places where AI can help, places where AI can't help. I think one thing that we're going to find over and over again is that even as technology progresses, a lot of organizations are coming back around to cybersecurity sort of basics. For instance, a lot of stuff within the problem with that Mythos presents to cyber defenders, a lot of that is manageable with defense in depth concepts, right? So, an analogy that I've used in the past is that creating a new fancy high tech laser gun is really cool and really high tech and really futuristic, but getting hit in the head with a rock will still do
Do
the
the same
job
thing.
for a lot of
Yeah.
organizations, right? So as technology changes, the goal is less that CTI itself has to remold itself to fit that technology, but it's about adapting base level fundamental concepts to the new technological environments. And for the most part, they're flexible enough that they work in that way. So for a lot of future technology, let's say AI, let's say automated workforces, let's say quantum computing changes the rate at which malware is able to affect organizations, right? All of those things become manageable with proactive defense rather than reactive defense, right?
Okay. Well, it would definitely be interesting to see what happens. And yeah, thank you so much for your time today. That's all my questions.
Yeah, 100%.